Walsh running the Irish green, and look at the move he's making down to the inside.
Moves to the front from 5th all the way to the lead in lap 1.
Walsh takes win number 2.
Peter Walsh. Alright, we're back. Netflix Drive to Survive Formula 1 Season 2 Episode 10. And if I can sum this episode up in one sentence, karma's a bitch. Karma's a real bitch. Oh, I can't wait to get into this, ladies and gents. So, as we've seen in previous episodes, we've seen the disaster when Pierre Gasly went to Red Bull. And I was even commenting that he was getting bullied at Red Bull. Sounds funny. But he was. He genuinely and utterly, truly was. They wanted him gone. They wanted some driver with sponsorship money coming in the door. But we'll get into that in a moment. So, we start off with Gasly in Season 2, Episode 10. And this now, we're picking up from where Gasly's been booted out of Red Bull, if you remember that, guys. Right, they all said, oh, he's not performing, he's this and he's that. He gets booted back to Toro Rosso, the second team. And we're catching up with them here. So we start with Gasly. They're saying hello, Pierre, and then they do flash over. They kind of keep us waiting here. They flash over to Christian Horner here, and then Christian Horner comments, Gasly had a horrible start with Red Bull, not performing under the pressure, really trying to hammer it home here, right? Now I can smell the bullshit flying here from a mile away, but we'll get into this now more, okay? And then we go back to Gasly. And then he's asked, so Pierre, how do you feel about coming from Red Bull? The pressure was on, you didn't get the results apparently, and now you're demoted, because that's what it was, demoted back to Toro Rosso. Gasly, this is a huge hint, guys. Gasly has said, it's not what they told me. Now what the fuck does he mean by that? You could be saying, well, look, he's making excuses. No, he's not. No, he's not. Because if you watch and read between the lines in the other episodes that we have reviewed here, you can see Gasly was getting some results. He was getting results. His best finish was a 4th. Then there was some races where he was in 6th and 5th and then 7th. But then he'd have a collision with somebody, and then he might make an actual genuine mistake, which people do, or he'd have car trouble. Now, this is the most important thing to point out on this one. They're all saying, oh, he doesn't have the legs, he can't match Max Verstappen. This is the moment, this is the year here, guys, where Verstappen was not winning. He was not winning races all the time. He was not winning the championship. He wasn't dominant. So what am I saying here is, this was the time in 2019 where Hamilton was kicking ass, Valtteri Bottas was right on his coattails. So you had 2 drivers now ahead of the Red Bull team, right? Whether it was Verstappen or Gasly, there was 2 drivers that were going to probably pretty much beat the both Red Bull drivers at a weekend. Plus you had Ferrari in the mix, Vettel and Leclerc. So that's 4 drivers that are definitely have a quicker car at most race weekends versus the Red Bull. So even Max Verstappen was coming in 3rd, 2nd, a win here and there, a 4th, a 5th. Because, why? Because the Ferraris and the Mercedes were quicker cars. So Gasly has a 4th, Max Verstappen, his best was a 1st, but Max Verstappen was not winning all the time. So Max Verstappen had plenty of 3rds and 4ths, just like Gasly did. Yes, he had the better car, and Verstappen, and he's getting more attention, 100%. But it just goes to show you, like, if Max Verstappen was winning every race and he was in his dominant period, I'd still be saying Verstappen's getting the attention, but you'd have more of an argument on your case by saying, well, look, Jesus, Peter, you know, look, he's winning all the races here, or at least very minimum he's in 2nd or 3rd, but he's winning, and then your man's down in 4th or 5th and 6th. But Verstappen was around about the exact same area as Pierre Gasly. We have to keep this on point here. We have to keep this in conclusion, or in the fucking web here of information, knowing what we're talking about here. So, okay, let's move it on. So when Pierre Gasly says, it's not what they told me, in other words, what I'm reading between the lines here, and again, look, I can't prove this part here, but I'm assuming they promised him the world. He was going to have a great car. There was no number 1 or no number 2 driver, as we've seen Christian Horner in season 1. If you remember, guys, if we go back to, there is a, I can't remember what episode I've reviewed, but we remember that, excuse me, Christian Horner is talking to Mark Webber's dad. I'm sorry, not Mark Webber, Daniel Ricciardo's dad. Daniel Ricciardo and Verstappen were teammates in this year. And Christian Horner at Monaco had to go over to his dad and say, hey, listen, I just want to assure you, Mr. Ricciardo, there's no number 1 here. There's no number 2. Max is not getting the attention or the special attention. Bullshit. He wasn't getting the special attention. Take it from me, guys. He's getting the good attention. And I'm a Max Verstappen fan. Okay? I'm not having a go off Max Verstappen. This is just the way it is in racing. It's the way it is. And, excuse me, so what I think when Gasly said, it's not what they told me, I think Christian Horner did just what he did to Ricciardo's dad. In other words, the same speech. Listen, Pierre, it's going to be the same equipment. You're going to get the same attention. There's no number 1. There's no number 2. Everybody's on the same level field. Pierre Gasly wanted to believe it, and in fairness, maybe he did believe it. We don't know. Maybe he went in with one eye open, one eye closed here, as in, I'm not sure about this guy now, what's he going to do, but let's see what happens, you know? But to me, that tells me everything I need to know. So then we go on to Gasly at the Red Bull, and then he goes to Toro Rosso. And he also mentions that he's angry here. He's angry. Now, why is he angry? Surely, if anything, if his results, let's say Christian Horner and all the Red Bull were telling the truth. They gave him the best equipment as best as they can, and Gasly just completely screwed up everything. Why would Gasly be angry? Yeah, you could be angry at yourself, right? As in, oh, I'm angry now, man. You know, I didn't perform properly. He would have said that. All he says is, I'm angry. You can see it written all over his face. He's angry because he didn't get what he was told he was going to get. It's in a nutshell. In a nutshell. And just, you think in case I'm biased here, I like Pierre Gasly. I think he's a nice guy. He's definitely a quick driver. He's solid. I'm not a fan of Pierre Gasly's. I'm just not. I wouldn't be cheering him on. Unless, you know, all my other favourite drivers were had spins and did not finish his... If that was the case and Pierre Gasly was the only guy left, well, yeah, then I'd be cheering him on versus other drivers. But I wouldn't be cheering the guy on. I just think he's a nice guy. He's a solid, quick pilot. Okay? And he's angry because he didn't get... Let me say it again. Because he didn't get what he was promised. Key word here. Promised. And he says they've switched drivers. Let's see what happens. Well, we'll get into more of this now as we go through this episode. Then we flash over to Alex Albon, and as we know here now, guys, Gasly gets booted back to the Red Bull Toro Rosso team. And who's taking his place? Alex Albon. So we flash over to Alex Albon at home with his family, and in fairness, I like the way, I give Alex Albon this, I love the way he did say, I don't know if I deserve the seat, but I'm going to have to work hard, etc. You know, that was a nice, humble thing to say. It was. Now, did he have any other more options? Well, I suppose probably not, but he still didn't have to add that in. He didn't have to add it in. You know? So, and I genuinely do believe Alex Albon meant that when he said that. I think he's quite a humble guy. I'll give him that. I really do think he is. Am I wrong? Maybe. Maybe it was all for the cameras, but I don't think so. I don't think so. And he knows that he's got to bring results to the table here. Like every other driver. Every driver knows they got to bring results to the table. And like, if we look at it, guys, let's break it down. I did some research here before I did this episode on the results of 2009. Gasly's results when he was in the car versus Albon in the car. And Guys, they actually came out with, here it is. Gasly and Albon, their highest finish was a 4th position. Both had other results where they challenged for 5th, 6th, 7th. Then, like I was saying about Gasly, it was the same thing for Albon. He might have a collision with another driver, he made a mistake, or they had engine problems, or just car problems in general. So that applies for both drivers here. And both drivers, Gasly and Albon, they both scored points for the team. Okay? They did. They kept racking the points up. And quite honestly, there was nothing that stood out for me in those results to replace Pierre Gasly and bring in Alex Albon. There was zero. Zero. Because you can say, oh, well, this and that happened in the mid-race, and yeah, whatever. Bottom line, end result, the actual result that's on the table, on the scoreboard. Both boys on the scoreboard had a 4th position each. That was their best finishing position. And quite honestly, I think that's a really solid result for both of them. You know why? Because like we said already, guys, Max Verstappen wasn't the main title contender for this year. Max Verstappen was going for 3rd and 4th and 2nd. Okay? He didn't have the car behind him and under him. So even for Max Verstappen to get a 4th position would have been an okay result. So the two boys coming in with a 4th, I thought it was quite good. Why replace him midway through the season, is beyond me. Well, actually, sorry, it's not beyond me, but because we've talked about this already. I'm sorry. I don't know why I said beyond me. But the thing is, why replace a driver mid-season? This rarely happens, guys. Honestly, whether it's in karting, Formula Ford, Formula 3, 2, all the way up to Formula 1, it rarely happens when you have a driver replaced. Like, if there was any justifying of replacing a driver mid-season, it would be this. If Pierre Gasly came into the team and every single race he was in, he crashed off, causing damage to the car, costing the team millions of pounds to fix again after his recrash and rebuilding the car, and just not even bringing in 1 point. Now, even a scenario where he just keeps getting knocked off the track, the team would still kind of, oh God, you know, like you'd still give him a little bit of flexibility, saying, well, look, Jesus, guys, look, he's had 10 races with us. All 10 races, he's shown quite a bit of pace, but he just keeps getting knocked off and unbelievably bad luck. You'd still even forgive it to a degree, as long as he shows some pace. Okay? And you just go, well, fuck me, this guy's unlucky. You know? Now, I could understand the team going, guys, maybe we should get rid of him. He's so unlucky. He's like he's bad luck for us here. You know, he's a jinx. I'd understand that too. But you'd forgive it too. You know? And you wouldn't be bullying the guy on the pit radio as they have. Okay? You wouldn't. It's just crazy stuff, man. And guys, just to let you know, I've been here. I've seen it myself. I've been on the receiving end of it. I've been on the other end of it, where I'm the number 1 driver. Then the number 2 driver gets the finger basically pointed at them. Happened to me. Happened to every single driver that's ever been out there. Ever. So, okay. Let's move it on, shall we? Now, just checking my notes here now, guys. So then we flash over to Brazil. Now, I love this part of Brazil. This is where karma comes back and bites Red Bull on the ass, lads. Oh, it's just poetic justice. So we're concentrating here at the Brazil race on Carlos Sainz, Alex Albon, and Pierre Gasly. Of course, obviously, this is where the spotlight is, really, you know. It's still, the news is fresh, the drama's fucking iron hot. And then we see Leclerc and Vettel have a collision together at Brazil. Now, let's talk about that for a moment before we talk about the rest of the race. Leclerc and Vettel here, they're going down the back straight in Brazil. Now, who's to fault on this one? Leclerc's in the middle of the track trying to hold off Vettel. Vettel goes up the outside on the right hand side, So they're neck and neck. Now, I can understand where Leclerc is sort of still in the middle of the track because he just wants to make it uncomfortable for Vettel, okay? He's not bumping into him. He's not weaving him dangerously off the track. No, he's not, because he's his teammate. And in fairness, Charles Leclerc is a clean, solid driver, so he wouldn't be the type of guy to knock you off the track anyway. So it's not because, oh, it's my teammate. No, he wouldn't do it to any driver. He's very clean. But still, you make it a bit uncomfortable. You squeeze your teammate a little bit, you know? And he just squeezed him a little bit, but when Vettel came up alongside him, he didn't squeeze him anymore. Then you could see Vettel just overtake. Technically, Vettel's in the lead. Now, Leclerc would have known this because now he's behind and he can see Vettel in front of him. Now, at this stage, Vettel should have backed off. I'm sorry, Leclerc should have backed off. Just pulled over a tiny, just a touch to the left, right? Not a huge amount because you still want to keep the pressure on him. Just a touch because they're getting close at this stage. And again, this is where the teammate thing, look, because we're teammates, we don't want to piss the team off. I'll just give him a little, and I mean, guys, when I say little, we're talking like 2 or 3 centimeters more room, okay? Because that is such a small gap. You're still keeping the pressure on your teammate. And I get what Leclerc was trying to do. He was trying to stay in the middle here. So then when they're coming up to the next corner, which was a left-hander, Leclerc would technically be in the inside and then hopefully outbrake Vettel and then retake his place back. Leclerc should have backed off a little bit, like I said. And Vettel, in fairness, he's starting to get in the lead. Now, at that stage, guys, the way Vettel's car was, and again, we've talked about this before, where there's very limited viewing in the car. And like, really, guys, very limited. You'd have to have the car be like right behind you. You don't see the person to the side of you in the rear view mirrors. You just don't. And I know this from all types of racing cars myself. So Vettel doesn't know what's going on. Now, he didn't try and weave over on top of Leclerc either. Leclerc should have just backed off a bit. So if anybody was to blame, I definitely would put it on Leclerc on that one. 100%. And it was just one of those things. You know, and it just goes to show you, even the clean drivers can fuck up and make mistakes. And he did. He did. And I would put it down to heat of the moment. Either way, we're not making excuses for him. Leclerc was in the wrong. Full stop. Period. Okay, so then we move on. And now the 2 Red Bulls are 1 and 2. Now we have to remember here, guys, the Ferraris are gone. So that's an extra 2 places Red Bull and the other teams can make up here. Now look, motor racing is you need sometimes a bit of luck. Of course you do. And I wouldn't be downing anybody for getting some luck, for Christ's sake. But we have to just keep it in perspective, as in, is Albon doing better than Gasly? Is Gasly doing better than Albon? You know what I mean? Like, if we're looking at it from that lens, through that lens, then we've got to say, well, no, because the 2 Ferraris were off. Right? So people were like, oh my god, he's in 2nd position. Well, he would have been in 4th if the Ferraris didn't go off. So then we see how Hamilton and Albon collide. And, excuse me, you can see Albon loses out on 2nd place. And like I said, you have to remember, because the 2 Ferraris, that would have been 4th position. So we have to just keep things on the ground here. And then, of course, we see, guys, Gasly then, he gets into 2nd position in the Toro Rosso. He holds off Hamilton to take 2nd place. I mean, he got lucky as well, right? I'm not standing up for Gasly and putting down Albon. No, Gasly got lucky. But like I said, we all need a bit of luck, and Gasly got lucky. But I think it was really just so sweet. It was poetic justice. It was a FU to Christian Horner and Red Bull, even though Gasly's in the 2nd Red Bull team. So technically, Red Bull had a 2nd position as well when Gasly finished 2nd. So it's it was poetic justice. It was Gasly giving them the finger, and he wouldn't have been given Albon the finger so much. He would have been giving it to Helmut Marko and Christian Horner. No 2 ways about it. Because look, Gasly knows too. if you're gonna be offered the Red Bull seat, you know, the drivers are gonna bite your hand off for it. Gasly knows that. So it was great to see, guys, and this is what about Poetic Justice is all about. Just fantastic. I'd say this must made Pierre Gasly feel so goddamn good. And karma, what goes around comes around, man. What goes around comes around. And then I didn't want to say it. Gasly has a second position. Yep. I wanted to kind of keep that to a surprise at the end. So he didn't just have a fourth, he has a fucking second position here. It was awesome. Awesome. So then we find Verstappen, and this kind of pissed me off, I have to say. Max Verstappen, he's on the radio. This is at the end, and we're closing off here now, guys. Kind of a short one today. But Max Verstappen's being interviewed on Netflix, and he turns around and he says, well, look, it was great to see Pierre win. Pierre finish second. Gasly found himself again, getting the second position. He found himself? Really? Where did he find himself? Under a rock? Was he hiding in the Toro Rosso car this whole time and you didn't see him? He found himself. You could even see it written all over Max Verstappen's face. Like, can't you see it? Like, he's kind of... what am I saying? What am I saying? God. Oh, I'm a cheeky bastard. Cheeky bastard saying that. He found himself again. Jesus, Max. Come on, man. You know the deal. And he does, guys. He knows the deal here. And he said that. I didn't like him for saying that now. I have to say. I really didn't. That was not cool, man. That was not cool. But then to close it off, guys, I mean... Then we see Carlos Sainz and the team nearly crying, nearly popping champagne, right? Carlos Sainz comes from 20th position last all the way up to 4th, which was a fantastic result. Great result. I mean, it's tough, guys, you know, and Brazil, it's a bumpy, twisty track, and God knows what kind of traffic you're going to get, and there was a safety car. I can't remember how many safety cars, but, you know, you're all bunched up together again, and anything can happen. So, fantastic. Great drive from Carlos Sainz. And what pisses me off is that the team then, they're actually waiting to see if Hamilton, I think it wasn't Hamilton in third, they're wondering if Hamilton's going to get a penalty for the Alex Albon incident. So technically at this stage, Hamilton in third, he finishes, and then Carlos Sainz in fourth. Then after the race, they all come in, and then the stewards actually report saying, oh, Hamilton car under scrutiny or under investigation, and he might get docked a couple of places, or penalty, whichever it was, I can't remember, I'm sorry. But the team is waiting around for the third position. You'd swear that the way they're waiting around and anxious that they're about to declare who wins the World Championship. I mean, ridiculous. Ridiculous. You see, this is what I'm about standards here. Fucking standards. You're McLaren. And you're popping champagne, slapping each other on the ass, taking a group photo with the cars outside the pit lane for finishing fucking third. Really? Jesus, lads. The past champions of McLaren are just looking over going, what is wrong with them? Seriously. Now, guys, look, don't get me wrong. It was a great result from last position to third, and you'd be very happy with that. Extremely happy. I'm just saying the reaction, way over the top. They need to have standards. They're McLaren, for Christ's sake. You know, if it was their first ever Formula 1 race, let's say, and if it was their first ever podium, I'd understand that more, a hell of a lot more. This is McLaren. It's embarrassing, McLaren being in third. Really, I'm being serious. I'm being serious. These guys won several world championships, along with constructors championships too, and they're running around dancing when they finished third. Jeez. Anyway, okay. I gotta calm down. I gotta calm down a little bit, guys. Anyway, that was Netflix F1 Drive to Survive Season 2, Episode 10. I loved this episode, I really did. And look, like I said, it was a great result for Carlos Sainz. It was a great, fantastic result for Pierre Gasly in second. And wow, man, just wow, you know? And, you know, I love the fact that, yes, it was Pierre Gasly's 4th position in Red Bull. I'm sorry, actually, I got that completely confused, guys, actually, didn't I? I think I did, excuse me. What I meant to say was it was Pierre Gasly's top finish that year, and he beat Alex Albon. In other words, Alex Albon did not get a 2nd position that year, but the two of them tied for 4th in the Red Bull car. So yeah, Gasly did get the better result at the end of the day, even though it was in a different car. So it was great to see that. My apologies, guys, I'm fucking all over the place. Jesus, like an idiot here. But anyway, lads, great result, and we, of course, guys, will be back with more Formula 1. And just in case it's your first time tuning in, we're covering every Formula 1 race every Monday and Friday on the podcast. On the Friday of an F1 weekend, we're doing the preview and build up to the Grand Prix itself, where we look at we break down latest news, predictions. We're looking at the track in fine detail, and we're checking out what the best corner would be, what the handling of the car should be. And this is based on my knowledge of racing as well. And then obviously the highlights on the Monday after the Grand Prix, the day after the Grand Prix. So every Monday and every Friday we cover Formula 1, and if there's no Formula 1, we're checking out and reviewing Drive to Survive like we are today. So obviously the next time we'll be back with Netflix Drive to Survive will be Season 3. Man, we're getting through them quick. Thanks, guys. Bye-bye.
Walsh running the Irish green, and look at the move. He's making down to the inside.
Moves to the front from 5th all the way to the lead in lap 1.
Walsh takes win number 2.
Peter Walsh.